Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to.
Join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical, transformational journey.
Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is Pod 128. My name is Jaye, and I'm here with my co-host, as always, Leta Herman.
Welcome back, Inspired Actioneers. Today we're continuing our conversation about the Yin and Yang aspects of each of the 5 elements. And in this case, we're moving on to water.
Finally, last but certainly not least, the water element. We're going to open the floodgates, bust open the dam, let the banks overflow. I don't know. That's it. That's all I got for water metaphors. But thank you all for the water element people out there, the peeps who have been waiting for this podcast episode. We're going to do our best today to bring it your way.
Okay.
I don't know.
We've talked a lot in the past about how water is the most varied of all the elements. So this might be a longer episode just to describe all the ways that water can be.
Yeah, and especially the water elemental people who show up in the world so differently depending on whether they're energetically more yin or more yang. You just never know.
Yeah, and sometimes, we'll be talking about how waters are fast moving and sometimes they're like slower energetically, and all waters can be either at any moment. So the minute you think you've really defined a water person,
boom, they can change. They can be something else. It's still water, but it's different.
Yeah, true. It's like you just can't even hold water in your hands no matter how hard you try. It's impossible.
Well, you could if it's in a glass.
Well, that's true.
Or a water bottle.
Right, but if you try to grab water, it's just going to slip through your hands.
Unless it's frozen.
Yes, that's true.
I'm just saying. No, impossible is a strong word.
But then it's going to melt and it'll change. And that's why waters always hate to be typed at all. Or they love to say they're all 5 elements.
Yeah, they literally could be anything they want, which, so many entertainers and actors and comedians in the world, they're water. They can be anything you want them to be at any moment. There's one thing they all have in common is they like to move and move forward.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, and at the same time, they also love to be still.
See, they like it one way, the other way, both ways.
I know.
And this is the element of movement and stillness, movement and stillness, movement and stillness.
Yeah, motility, walking, going somewhere, or even just moving while staying in place, tapping a pen, bouncing your knee. But at the same time, juxtaposed with waiting, watching, being totally still like a cat, waiting to pounce on a mouse, and just knowing when to move at the exact right moment.
Unless you're talking about Tom and Jerry, and they just never got it quite. He never caught that mouse.
No.
Ever.
Maybe he wasn't water.
Maybe Jerry was the water one.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to explain that in a way. If you don't know what Tom and Jerry is, Google it. Watch the cartoon.
Yes.
It's really old now that I think about it.
Yes.
It's kind of old. But boy, I watched a lot of Tom and Jerry.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to explain in a way in a little bit. But wait, we're going to go through all of that. But first, let's get caught up on the ALC, the Alchemy Learning Center news and events and all kinds of great stuff.
In typical water fashion, we're going to
make you wait. Anticipation.
Wait. Yes, anticipation. All right, so we're wrapping up. Obviously, this is our 5th part in the series of the Yin and Yang aspects, and we're going to be moving on soon. First of all, we want to thank all the listeners because you have been very vocal about how much you've enjoyed this series.
I know. I thought we were going really long, but they're like, yay. So I don't know what we're going to do in the future.
Everyone loved it. Yeah.
We'll see.
And it's wonderful to hear, how helpful it's been for you all. So we really appreciate that. And if you want to jump in and on the conversation, join our Facebook group, Inspired Action. That would be a good place to ask questions. And or on Instagram, we have.
You can always write us an email or text or in the Learning Center, if you remember.
Yeah. And after we wrap up this series, we're going to begin a new series. We're really excited in conjunction with the release of our book that's coming out.
What? We have a book?
Yes.
What's it called, Leta?
Cultivating the 13 Ghost Points.
Dun, 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 dun. Yay!
So we'll begin a new series of episodes on the ghost points soon and how they can be useful for your own self-cultivation.
Yes. And also, speaking of Cultivating Ghost Points. That's one of our new study groups, which we're starting in the fall. We have 3 study groups that we're going to be doing.
Yes.
And we've been kind of putting the information out there. We're getting a good response back. So why don't you just take a couple seconds here and talk a little bit about the new study groups?
Yes. Well, study group is kind of a funny concept. It's kind of a mini mentorship. It's like we're planning a 6-month program for people like you who've been wanting more. This is a chance to have a deep dive into one of 3 topics, either the 13 ghost points, the 5 elements, or your alchemical self-cultivation.
You can take 1, you can take 2, and I guess if you're really into it, you could take all 3.
Yeah.
If you're a practitioner, because the ghost points was going to be for practitioners or advanced learners.
Yes. And we're going to do like some really good online teaching, some fun meditations, some exercises. There's going to be just a lot of activity with the group itself. You'll have a cohort to share ideas with and ask questions.
Yeah, so many of our listeners, they wanted more. So we wanted to create something that we could teach, an alternative to our formal Master Alchemy program, the apprenticeship. This is going to be like a version of that.
Yes. Yeah. And if you've been interested in the apprenticeship, then we suggest you start with one of these and then you can move into an apprenticeship next year.
Yeah, and also if you're the kind of person who doesn't like to join a group, you can go to the Learning Center, take some classes. We have a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yes.
And you can obviously continue to listen to the podcast.
Yes. And that's alchemylearningcenter.com. And if you're looking for study group information, there's a link there for the study groups.
Yeah. And if you're into the 5 elements, you can still send us your walk. If you're trying to figure out your stack up of the order of your 5 elements, you can send us your video. You can start an email conversation with us. So you have to film yourself or have a friend is ideal, or anyone. Just grab a random stranger and say, hey, hold my camera for a second. I'll be right back. And then do that like 4 times. Walk slow, walk back. That's actually kind of funny. If you do grab a random stranger and they don't steal your phone.
Yes.
And you get the slow on the walk and the fast walk, that would be great.
Yes.
Then you can send them to us. Or if you're not shy, you can post them in the Facebook group.
Yes.
But don't blame us if you get your phone stolen.
Yes.
I will not respond. That's a disclaimer right now.
Okay.
But it would be really funny to just have a random... Then you have to explain what you're doing.
Yes.
Okay. Then they're going to want you to do theirs. And so there you go, right?
There you go.
All right. So let's get back. We've really been letting this anticipation
the
swell and grow. And let's get this podcast flowing again.
All right.
So let's start with a quick review of the waters. Let's make them wait a little bit longer. Let's do a quick review and maybe share some common characteristics. I know we're doing the yin and the yang, but...
Well, we already talked a little bit. They all stop and start. This is how this stillness and movement gets reflected in the way they move through time and space. This is what we often call inertia, where if they're moving, they want to keep moving. Or if they're still, they want to stay still.
Yeah, and they like to maintain that state for much longer than most people, whatever that state is. They're patiently and willingly and happily staying there.
Yeah. And so patience is also a water virtue for all waters. Even while they're patiently waiting, they're anticipating what's coming next. That's why we kept emphasizing that word.
You can do the anticipation.
Yeah, that's the water song. All right,
so that's the key word here, and I love when you say that. It made me think of the kids' game, the red light, green light, which is definitely created by a water person or a teacher who had a classroom full of water children.
Yes.
The excitement comes from that anticipation of that state. When you play that game, you're like, ah!
Yes.
I did a little Googling, Leta.
Yeah.
And do you know that we call it red light, green light, but in other parts of the world, they call it grandmother's footsteps, or fairy footsteps in the UK.
Wow.
Right? And of course, now you have the Netflix TV show, the squid.
Yes.
I didn't want to say it, but I just said it, right? You squidded out of me. That really took the red light, green light game to a whole new level.
Oh, yes.
Like creepy, scary,
Yeah.
I did not like that.
Yeah,
but I bet you water people loved that show.
Oh, yeah.
Like, absolutely.
Yes.
But I don't know. I was a little challenged on
It's like
that.
red light, green light, but your life is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely.
Oh, my
But
God.
whether they're moving or being still, they're always ready to change states. And in that case, they had to, or
There were,
lights out.
yeah.
But yeah. So red light, green light. That's a great way to think about this anticipation of waiting, stopping, going, still. If you're good at it, you can win.
I was thinking of the nice kid game, and the excitement of that game comes from the anticipation, and that's what waters love.
Yeah.
They just love that, anticipation of when is the state going to change. And that really sums up the water person's life. Doing or not doing, but always waiting for that to change.
So what enables them to do that?
So that's where we're getting into this yin and yang conversation. That's the kidneys in this case, which is the yin aspect of water. So in Chinese medicine, we don't really talk so much about what in Western medicine they say the kidneys do. Like it's all about filtering the blood and removing waste and stuff like that in Western medicine. But the primary function of the kidneys in Chinese medicine is to govern the water. And what does that mean? That means that the kidneys decide when you're going to move.
The governor of the PP.
The governor of the PP, yes, when to urinate. The bladder's holding the urine. That's the other organ that we're going to be talking about today, the yang aspect of water. But the kidneys determine when to start peeing. What's the good time to start peeing? Or
When
even,
you have to go.
Or even, not
Well, you got to get that timing right, don't you?
Right?
Yeah.
Or even pooping for that matter. That kidneys is in charge of that.
Yeah. So, all right. So that makes sense. But for this conversation, I'm not touching that one because, I don't want to touch poop. But anyway, so why is that so important, Leta?
Well, imagine if your kidneys aren't doing well and you're standing at the toilet. Sorry, I'm going to get a little, graphic here about, peeing. But let's say you're stuck with your zipper, you're fiddling with your pants, and suddenly your kidneys start peeing. Like they tell your bladder, okay, it's time, but it's not time yet. You don't have your pants ready.
Oh my gosh. So if it's not strong.
This is actually a serious conversation in that a lot of elderly who have weakened kidneys, or maybe someone, who has weakened kidneys for another reason other than age, they get incontinence, and that's what happens.
Yeah, we're really going there, right?
Yeah, we're going right there.
Wet pants syndrome.
Yes.
What if you're scared and you pee your pants?
Yes. Well, that's the kidneys again. The kidneys have a really big correlation to fear. So fear could trigger that as well.
Yeah, so the governor of the PP is very important.
Yes. And so this isn't just about peeing. It's about timing anywhere in your life.
I guess it depends on the timing.
Right.
Right? It depends.
Yeah. Yes,
I'm glad you got that.
I'm glad I got that. So this is about the ability to be powerful in general. What makes water people so powerful is their ability to wait, to hold, to get the exact timing for things. And that's your kidneys that do that. So they're not just holding on to the pee for the right moment. They're holding on to your power, your chi, and your ability to move overall, and deciding when you have enough power to do whatever you need to do.
I think you needed to do Kegels for that, right?
Yes.
Power of the Kegel.
The power of
If you know, you know what I'm talking about, right? So is that why they need to rest so much, to guard their resources and not overdo it and not deplete their energy and be able to have the strength to
Yes.
Kegel?
To Kegel, yes.
Kegel or not to Kegel?
Exactly.
That is the true question.
Right.
No, guys are like, what?
It's perfect.
Guys don't Kegel, do they?
That's a good question.
think so.
I don't know if they have a reason to. Well, so the waters are actually aware of how much energy is left in their tanks.
Literally.
Yes. And if there isn't any, they desperately need to lie down, even for 20 minutes to get things going again.
Okay, so what is the official title of the kidneys, which is the yin side of the water continuum? I'm going for governor of the PP, but I don't think I'm going to win.
No. The kidneys, as we said before, they store things like all the other yin organs. And in this case, it's power and knowing when to use that power or when to guard it. So the official title is, you ready?
Governor of the PP.
No.
No? Okay.
The kidneys are responsible for the creation of power. Skill and ability stem from them.
The king or queen of the Kegels?
Yes.
No. You got to have it. You got to shorten that. That's too long of a title.
How about just powerhouses?
Powerhouse is okay.
So
maybe you could do
boring.
like a hydro powerhouse, like maybe like what's that one in Washington? No. Grand Coulee, which is the biggest in the United States, by the way.
Wow.
Or
Biggest
maybe the
dam?
Hoover. Yeah, the dam.
Yeah,
the dam.
the Hoover Dam.
Hoover Dam.
Yes.
And do you know what the biggest dam in the world is?
No.
The Three Gorges in China. Damn, that's a lot of damn information.
That's a lot of
So
damn
you have three big
information.
dams: the
Yes.
the Grand Coulee,
Yes.
the Hoover, and the Three Gorges.
Okay, how about just powerhouses?
Yeah, let's
Or
just
hydro
go with
powerhouses, okay.
the powerhouse of water. Okay, great.
Well, here's the thing. We all have kidneys. So this is helpful for anyone, not just the waters out there. You know, if we don't pay attention to how we spend our energy, you know, we could get ourselves in trouble, even if we're not water. You'll often notice.
Oh, sorry. I had another quick
Yes?
instant thought I had to
Okay.
throw out. Remember we met that person who was super powerful because she had 3 kidneys.
Oh, I forgot
Remember?
about that. Yes.
Right? You just made me think of that.
Yes. Yes.
I can't say her name because she
Was
might
she
still.
water?
She was earth water. 3.
Wow.
3 kidneys.
That's really
That's insane,
incredible.
right?
That's incredible.
But she was earth water, I
Yes.
believe.
Okay. Well, you know, we all have water,
Wow.
but we all don't have 3 kidneys.
No. I didn't Google how rare that is because I just thought of it. But now I interrupted your mojo. I'm so
Yes.
sorry. I was
All
just
right.
stopping to start.
So back to how waters guard their energy. You'll often notice that waters don't age as fast as all the other people. Their hair doesn't fall out. They might not be as gray as fast as others. It's because their kidneys are responsible for the health of hair as well as
Yeah.
many other things.
The 3 kidney person had great hair and had the energy of like 5 people.
Yeah.
Now I'm really into the 3 kidney thing.
Yeah, they even don't, their skin often doesn't look as wrinkled as other people. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
incredible how significant it is that waters don't age as fast as other people that are the same age, you know.
Yeah. Right. Wow.
So they just look younger. And that's because they know when to rest. They pay attention to that and they don't drain themselves like, well, all the yang type of people.
Wood and
especially.
fire.
Wood and
right?
fire,
That's
yeah.
why we promote a lot of water activity, a lot of water-based self-cultivation like Qigong and Tai Chi, because we know how important it is to replenish your energy. You got to know when to hold it. You got to know when to fold it. You got to know how to move it. You got to move it. And that's what the water elements do really,
Yeah.
really well.
And we had to learn that. We weren't born knowing that. Waters are just born knowing
Right.
that. That's what's so cool. They also just inherently, you know, they know like when to take a nap. You know, they if a water person comes into my office totally exhausted, like dangerously exhausted, I ask them, you know, what's going on? And they can pinpoint it exactly. It's usually their job. It's like a crazy burnout job that doesn't give them any downtime. And, you know, maybe there's an extended stressful event at home, but for whatever reason, I have to talk them through how to figure this out. I've had people have to go out to their cars and take a break in the middle of the day, preferably water time, which is 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., and just be horizontal for 15 minutes. That's all they need to regroup.
You told me that many, many years ago, and I often give that advice to water clients when I'm working with them because they need to get that energy to pull back and gather itself inward so they can just, you know, it's like their secret energizer battery there, get going. You know, it got too spread out, too diffused, too many paths down the mountain. The water's got to go. So they need to regenerate that. So we're going to call that the water power nap, right?
Yes.
Can we all take a water power nap?
Yes. Again, we all have kidneys. We should all be paying attention to this, not just the water
All
people.
right, so I'm officially giving everyone permission, if you're listening to the podcast,
Take a water power nap.
take a water 15-minute horizontal.
Yeah.
You'd
You don't
be
have
like-
to sleep, by the way.
Right. So you can set your timer and you'd be like, sorry, boss, I need to go horizontal for 15.
Yes. I had one guy who would lie down on his floor at his office.
Yeah, I remember one went in their car.
Yep.
Put the seat back.
Yep.
Boom. Little
Yeah.
AC. Take
Yep.
a nappy nap.
It's really
All right,
important.
permission to nappy nap.
Yes. All right. So we often think the heart is the most important official in our kingdom of organs, but the kidneys actually came first, which I think is really interesting. Remember, we are predominantly water as beings.
Wait, did you answer that question? Which came first, the heart or the kidney?
Yes, it's the kidney.
The kidney!
Yes. And then the kidneys created all the other officials. So they're kind of the origin of all things.
Yeah, which is why they're also in charge of, get this, reproduction.
Yeah.
Making babies.
Boom,
Boom,
chicka,
chicka,
I knew you were going to do that.
The water people, yes. They're in charge of reproduction.
Yes. And in Chinese medicine, we come from the genetic gifts of our parents. And that's what we call in Chinese medicine, our parents have essences they give us. And those essences help to create our bones, our marrow, and what we call our essential qi, which is really just the source of our physical power.
Can you just say that again? Our essential qi.
Our essential qi.
Yeah. We talked earlier in this series about how if you eat an apple, it becomes part of you. And that transformation process requires a tiny bit of that essential qi to make anything and everything that you ingest become part of you. And the kidneys are in charge of that.
Yeah. So basically, if you don't already think your kidneys are important, they are essential.
Yeah. They're not just the king and queens of the pee-pee.
Yeah, no.
Which we're not calling that officially. I just love that. Sounds funny.
But they're essential in every way.
And how come we don't have a Be Nice to Your Kidney month or a day or an hour even?
Yes. How about an hour?
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Right. You got to give them some kind of celebration.
Yeah, they really do need, they need some credit for all that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Underappreciated organs.
So I'm going to get a little more esoteric here, and especially
Please do.
Since we have some acupuncturists who listen to this, a lot of Chinese medicine practitioners listen to the podcast. In Chinese medicine, we take pulses on both hands, and the left hand is where your heart and your liver pulses are located. And then we have two organs on the right hand, the lungs and the spleen. And then we have three positions on each hand. So the last position, the most kind of important to our discussion today, is that we have the kidneys on the left and the kidneys on the right. So that's weird. Why would they be twice? And it's not really that they're the kidneys on the left and the right. There's a very complex way that is made that we're not going to go into today. But what we do say is that kidney yin is on the left to anchor all the yang on that side, the heart and the liver, the fire and the wood being very yang. So we say kidney yin is on the left side. And kidney yang is on the right side to anchor all the yin of the lungs and the spleen.
Wow, that was simply not complicated.
No.
You'll have to rewound that and listen because that was a little bit.
Yes.
I don't know.
But
esoteric.
Why I brought it up.
No, I love it. So tell us why it's important.
Why I brought it up is I really want everyone to understand that the kidneys have these two states, these yin and yang states. And really water does, we've been talking about it all along. You could call it arousal and containment. And that's what we were kind of referring to with stillness and movement earlier. The kidney yang is the impetus to move. And the kidney yin is the impetus to start being still again. So I think that's really fascinating. Like, what causes the state to change? And that's the difference. The kidney yang causes you to go from a still state to a moving state. And the kidney yin causes you to go from an active state to a still state. So it's that inertia we talked about, that whatever state a water person is in, it's going to change eventually. But when is what this is all about. That's the kidneys.
So I'm thinking that they want to continue to be in whatever state they're in as long as they can, right?
Yes.
Right, until the energy builds up or something changes, and then they move, or that movement or lack of movement, the energy dissipates and they come back to stillness.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, not to add to the confusion.
Yes.
But that's what I got from it.
Right. Or let me say it a little differently. The energy builds until it needs to begin to dissipate again, and you come back to stillness. Yeah, I guess that's what you said. So anyway, so the kidney yin.
You said it a lot better than I did.
Okay.
So just don't listen to me. Just listen to Leta. I could just put that on a T-shirt, by the way.
There you go.
Don't listen to me. Just listen to her.
Okay. So the kidney.
Order yours today, $19.99.
Yes.
Alchemy learningcenter.com.
So kidney yin is on the left side, and that's the side of the heart pulse. And so the kidneys have to have this relationship with the heart. And that's what we call heart-kidney communication, a very common phrase in Chinese medicine. And what that means is when a water person is quiet, then the heart and the kidney can have a little chat.
A little chit-chat?
Little chit-chat. And this is a chat about destiny versus desire.
Are we going back to the Fifi thing?
No.
I got to hold it or know where to go? Okay.
No.
Which is your destiny?
Yes,
Pee your pants or go to the bathroom?
Or go to the bathroom. Yes, exactly. It's destiny versus desire.
So is that like what does the heart want versus what is the road you need to walk or run in this lifetime?
Yes.
The curriculum that your soul wants to set out to accomplish before you were born?
Yes, exactly.
Right? That's not an easy task. But
Yeah.
so I'm glad someone's on it.
So when a person has great heart-kidney communication, decisions are easy because you just know.
With like the capital K of know, right?
Yes.
You know it in your bones, and that's why the kidneys are associated with your bones.
Yes.
Bet you didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I know
that's
you
really
knew
true.
it, but
I knew
listeners
it.
out there might not know
some
it.
listeners might not know that.
Maybe one out there might not know it.
Yes. And then now let's talk about the right side, the kidney yang side, which is associated with, helping the lungs out, because that's the lungs.
I'm guessing it's on the right arm for the pulse. See, right? I'm paying attention.
So it's about breathing. So I'll bet that a lot of listeners might not know that asthma and a lot of breathing problems, come from the kidney's relationship to the lungs.
They think it's the lungs.
Yes. But it's the kidneys not doing their job in relationship to the lungs.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Because the right kidney side has to root the breathing, essentially pull it down so that your body can utilize all that air you are breathing in. Otherwise, if that air isn't being pulled down, your lungs never empty. So you can't take another breath.
Uh-oh. That does not sound good.
No breath, no life.
No life, no breath.
Right.
Which is it?
No breath, no life in this case.
No breath, no life.
So when we think of the yin-yang symbol, if you just kind of imagine that, you remember it has these little dots on both sides. So that's the idea that within the yin of water, remember it's double yin, there's a tiny bit of yang that's like transformative fire, and we call that kidney yang.
Yeah, it's like the dragon who breathes fire because it has fire in its belly, like that little dot, right?
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, and in fact, the kidneys are responsible for heating the body. Who would think of that?
They do it all,
They
right?
do it all. You wouldn't think of that, but that's the fire. It's called the gate of destiny, and it's located between your kidneys in your lower back, and it's called Mingmen in Chinese.
Yeah, this is where your essential chi is housed, right?
Yes.
Kidneys are in charge of that. Boom,
Yeah, boom.
kidney drop.
Yep. And remember, there was the official that we talked about in an earlier fire episode in this series called the socializer, which is also called the triple heater. And the triple heater is the one that's most exterior of all the officials. Remember, it was the one that deals like with people at a party. Like it can handle 200 people at a party easily. And, not all of us are good at that. But anyway, so what it also does, in addition to that, which we didn't mention in the previous podcast, it has the job to take that kidney essential chi and burn up some kidney water and create some mists. And it rises those mists up to the lungs so the lungs won't get too dry. So the lungs need that little bit of water from the kidneys, and the triple heater socializer is the one that helps the lungs and the kidney have that relationship.
That's very nice. I'm just going to say, if there's 200 people at a party, I'm out.
Right.
Okay, my kidneys are like, you got to go. Because I have water third. I'm like, out.
Out.
We're out. But no, that sounds important. And anyone who has ever had a dry burning cough can relate to the idea that the lungs need those mists, the little mist in there. Otherwise, it hurts. It can be painful. But let's go back. We didn't really go deeper into, I want to go into that powerhouse, that hydro power dam thing that we were talking about. So let's talk a little bit about the power.
Yeah. So we said kidney is responsible for the arousal, the state of anticipation. And we're also going to bring in the bladder in a minute, which also contains all that water that is waiting for the right time to be peed out. And the relationship between the kidney and the bladder in you is very important. And it's not just about peeing.
It depends on what you need to do to go pee.
So what it means is this state of arousal, this state of anticipation, we like to say, like imagine that you have engines in your low back.
All right, so skip the dam right before. Now we're going to
Yes.
powerful engines. Not like a VW Bug, although they're cute.
Yes.
But vroom, vroom, like a Ferrari, vroom, vroom, big
Yes.
engine, big power. Okay, so delete the dam, go to the Ferrari.
Yes,
I'm okay with
definitely.
that.
Yes. And the most important thing is you're sitting at the red light.
With the Ferrari, not the dam.
Yes, with the
Okay.
Ferrari, not the VW. And you're just sitting there revving that engine.
It's adrenaline, patience, timing, everything you need to do the race.
Yes.
And skill. We're going to come to that later. But
Yes.
the adrenaline, the patience, the timing.
Yes. And you're just going vroom, 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 vroom. You know, it's like right before a drag race, right?
Yeah.
You look over at the other person and like, when you going to hit the pedal? When's the flag going to come down? Vroom.
Who's going to flinch first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's your kidneys, the source of all your power in your low back. You can think of power as another word for your destiny. It's what mobilizes you to walk your true path through life so you can fulfill your authentic nature and enact your blueprint, your unique blueprint for this lifetime.
And it's up to you whether you'll follow that path or not, which is like saying whether you'll submit to the will of heaven or not.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Or not is the question.
And we all get to walk through life and make choices. The kidneys help us make those choices. If our hearts were in charge, we want to do everything. And then we'd spread ourselves too thin and then not really do anything at all.
Right. So water knows we have this amazing potential. That's our power. That's a superpower. We have to have access to all possibilities.
That's also our power.
Right.
Yeah. And it's up to our water to wait and move just at the right moment to navigate all of that and find that path, like thread that needle. That's your destiny path.
Which kind of means we don't have a choice if we're really listening to that.
Right. You have to walk your Tao.
Yeah, you got to walk the walk. Or in this case, flow the flow.
Yes. Or
Right?
not.
Or not. There's
Right?
no judgment, right?
So you can choose to either walk your Tao or not. That's the only level of choice you have. And waters know that inherently, especially if they take the time, to meditate, to listen to their hearts. What the right choice is and when the right time to move is, that's what they understand.
Yeah, the creation of power means the ability to live life, walk that road that you're walking on.
Yeah.
Like to continue on.
Yep, that's what the kidneys do. And to do that, you need knowing how. This is a phrase we love that relates to the kidneys. It's also the wisdom palace of the 9 palace. It's inherent to water.
So you can think if your kidneys are being like the archer, the wisdom behind aiming your bow. What's the Disney character that we like? The girl? Merida. Or maybe how about one of those, the Mongolian archers on the horses? They're water, right?
Yeah.
They're just driving, they're hiding the horse and da-da-da-da. So they're not letting it go. It's not releasing that bow. And it's the aim, it's your destiny, the ambition. It's the anticipation of what's coming. Like
You said that very watery, like you were tripping over your words.
I
Like
was
you
the
couldn't wait.
I was the Mongolian on the horse, taking the aim. And the Merida riding the horse, yes. That's that great vision of
Yes, and once you release the bow, you're no longer in the water element. You're in the wood element once that arrow begins to fly. The power isn't in the wood, it's in the pulling the bow back and the aiming.
and the waiting and the anticipation and the
Yes.
timing.
And
Yes.
that's your kidneys. That's what power
Boom,
is.
kidney drop again.
Boom.
Yeah. Okay, so there's more than just the power in what you're talking about. It's that whole list we just spouted out. Skill, ability, timing, anticipation. Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the skills, because water element
Is
people love to learn skills.
Yes. If you don't first learn the skills, how can you have the ability to enact your destiny? It's not just the power, it's definitely the skills. And that's why waters are so obsessed with learning, classes, workshops, retreats, anything for their careers.
Yeah.
It's true of all waters. They definitely, but definitely the kidneys, maybe more so than the bladder types, which we're going to talk about in a bit. They are holding that knowing how as well as the power. And it's the technique, the skill, plus the strength to put it into action that turns their ideas into ideas with feet.
Or fins.
Or fins.
Okay,
if
so
they're swimming.
You just made me think about something. So while they're learning all these skills, I think they're anticipating what's going to happen after they finish.
Yes.
When they get that certificate or that degree or
True.
that completion check mark.
Because they're all about ambition. There is
Yeah.
actually a point that relates to the kidneys that is called ambition room.
There we go.
And to me, ambition is very different than goals. They learn these skills because they have ambition of some nebulous thing that's going to happen.
Yeah, I bet you that ambition room is filled with certificates.
Yes.
And degrees.
Wallpapering.
And wallpapered it. Yeah, that's really what the ambition room is. Since you mentioned the bladder, let's put some feet or fins into this discussion and swim on over to the yang aspect of water, the bladder. So what is the title of the bladder?
Oh, you're so excited.
What are we going to call it?
Yes, you've been anticipating this. It's called the official of the municipal waterworks.
Wah, wah, wah. No, come on, we got to spice it up.
I'm not done. Fluids and humors are treasured herein.
That did not get better. Keep going.
The transformations of the breaths give out their power.
All right, it's going to take a while to unpack that one.
Yes.
We will come back with a title. It cannot be the fluids and the humors and the municipal waterworks. No.
So
how about dam? That's a good title. No?
No.
They're not the dam part, right? No. All right, let's go back.
Let's talk about it a little bit. Because the bladder is the longest channel.
Oh, channels are powerful and good.
And it's the most empowered official of all the officials. It has 67 points from the top of the head to the toes. Plus, it has 2 trajectories down the back with points that are associated to every other official. It's huge. And oddly, we told you the kidney was the first official created in a human being. And the bladder is the last official. That seems significant, doesn't it?
Kind of like bookends, like bladder bookends.
Yes. And that's because it's the one most tangibly connected to the maintenance of life by being in charge of the water on a daily basis. It's like the kidneys created you, but the bladder maintains you. It's the substance of life. That's water. So it not only creates you, but it has to keep creating you every day. It's constantly like removing impure fluids from every cell of the body. And so it's at the heart of cellular renewal, which is happening all the time. We are reinventing ourselves through the bladder all the time.
Wow. All right. We're getting somewhere with that. I'm going to think of a title, but I don't know. Okay. So that's kind of like the municipal of the waterworks then.
Yes.
Right?
It's like a micromanager of everything.
Nothing yet. Keep going. Maybe like the movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yes.
Maybe that's the title.
That could be. That's the bladder. It's everywhere, all at once, all over your body. And the question is, why is that so important?
That's the title, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yes. It's so important because...
Why?
Because it's shoring up all the banks. We have water throughout our whole body.
I think we're mostly made out of water.
Yeah, and we need the master of the waterworks.
Oh, that could be it. Master of the waterworks.
Yes.
Master of the waterworks.
Yes. So it literally has to be everywhere.
Damn, you thought of that, not me.
Yeah. It's not just your literal bladder. It's this function. It's making sure that just the right amount of water, it goes everywhere all at once, which is why actually we could think of it calling it the inventory controller.
Oh my God. Inventory controller versus master of the waterworks. Everything all at once, everywhere. Come on. What would you rather have? It's kind of like saying like the bean counter versus master of the waterworks.
Well, it is kind of like we need the bean counters in this world. I mean, in fact, the bladder people, this inventory controller function, it's really fascinating. It's really like counting what's coming in and what's going out. And bladders just love to look at that. Look at energy flow. Look at money flow. Look at all kinds of things that flow in and out. And that's what the master of the waterworks is really about. And in fact, you'll see a lot of bladder people love to collect things. Like they'll have a stamp collection, or I knew someone who had every collection you could imagine. He had a boat collection. He had a cooking utensils collection. He had a plant collection. But like, I'm talking a lot of things. So yeah, we really need this function in the world of inventory controller or bean counter or something like that. And that is what the bladder function is about. And we think of the bladder as just what holds the pee, but it's more than that. It also makes sure that the useful liquids are delivered to every single part of the body that needs them. And that's why the bladder has to be the longest meridian with the most points.
That's the master of the waterworks, not the inventory controller.
Or, the micromanager.
Oh, okay.
That's what they're doing. They're overseeing everything related to fluids, which is so important.
We're going to go back and forth on this, but the bottom line is we can't live without water.
Yes.
Whether you're the master of the waterworks or the inventory controller or the jelly bean counter.
Yes, so much of our bodies are made up of water. It's so essential to our life.
And that's why and I say we, I mean I, encourage everyone to drink water. If you know me, I am like, drink water, drink water, drink water. It's about feeding our own life force. We also have to metabolize all the water so our bodies can actually not pee all the time. That's the bladder's job, right? We got that. Mm-hmm. So we don't have creaky muscles, stiff joints. We need to be lubricated.
Yes.
Not medicated, right?
Yes.
Lubricated. And eventually the skin will get dry. The lungs, we've got to have our lungs misted.
Yes.
We cannot live without the water.
Yes. And
so drink your water.
Right. And the bladder's role as the inventory controller of the waterways is much more than just hydrating. It has to ensure there's not too much water anywhere so you don't have edema, like water swelling.
Yeah, you can definitely drink too much water as well.
Yeah.
Or too dry somewhere else, like when you get rashes on your skin, that means there's not enough fluids.
Yeah.
So you have to find that balance.
And so once you understand that the Chinese medicine viewpoint gives so much more importance to the bladder than just our ability to pee out some impurities, the urine, and we start to get a better picture of what a bladder person is like.
We're kind of like giving a little, information about the importance of the bladder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because not a lot of people, I'm guessing right now, not a lot of people do podcasts on the bladder.
No.
Right? You can Google that.
I'm pretty sure we might be the only one.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a bladder fix, we got you covered because this is it. I guarantee it.
Yes.
No, remember, it's a continuum between the more yang water people and the more yin water people type. So we have the yang people on the left, all the yang to the left, put the yang to the left.
Yes.
Fiance.
Yeah.
All right. If you don't know, I'm not a good fiance impression. So we have the yang people on the left, the inventory controllers, and the yin people on the right, the powerhouses.
Yes.
I'm not still sold on the inventory controllers.
No, it's not a fun name. I find that a lot of waters...
some people are like, yay, that's me.
That's me. I mean,
and
they do relate to it. They love that.
They love it.
I find that a lot of waters have qualities of both types, and they probably mostly are in the middle, but some are going to be less active and more storing, and those are the kidneys. And not always, but typically the kidney powerhouses often even move slower through time and space because they're always storing power, and they're reticent to use their power unnecessarily by walking fast.
Yeah, they like to hoard it up, whereas the bladder types, they're typically, but not always, we always have to say that, with water, but not always, the fast water types, because they have to be everything, everywhere, all at once. We keep saying that because it's such a good water saying. They're overseeing the inventory control, the jelly beans, right? They're counting the jelly beans.
Yes.
Right? So they're always moving, always checking on everything in the body.
Yes, and I always say the best way to tell the difference between the more yin versus the more yang types of water is to ask them, just like a little test here, to do something for you in 2 days' time. Like if your spouse is water, you could say, well, today's Monday, and you say, hey, in 2 days, would you go down in the basement and get the volleyball net out for the party we're having this weekend and set it up? So this is funny because...
Why is it funny?
Because if they're the kidney type, and you said that on Monday, and Wednesday rolls around, and, it's likely they might procrastinate and they might do it, but they might just, be on the couch and gathering their power on Wednesday. So they're not going to get that net maybe until Friday when they've got enough power to do the job. And then they'll do it.
If you ask them again.
Probably.
Yeah.
Whereas the bladder type, they have to do it immediately because who knows what they'll be doing on Wednesday. And they live in anticipation of anything can happen all the time. And if they can do it immediately, then literally they can't wait until Wednesday to do it. That would drive them crazy.
Yeah, their entire life could be, why put that off when you could do that now, right away, instantly?
Yeah.
And then I'll have more energy to do more stuff later.
Yeah. And so when you think
I like that.
Yeah, isn't that great? So when you think about this role of something being constantly doing, constantly checking, micromanaging, inventory controlling, in all of those functions, the eyes really matter. They have to be seeing everything that's happening. That's why the most important point on the bladder channel is bladder 1, which is located in the corner of your eyes. And it's called eyes bright.
Yes. And also when you're doing that test, look at their eyes.
Yes.
When you ask them to do the volleyball net. Was it volleyball?
Yes.
Who plays volleyball?
That's
No, I'm
true.
joking. A lot of people love volleyball.
Yeah.
Could be like
Pickleball.
The
pickleball net.
Anything with the net. Tennis,
Yes.
pickleball. I'm thinking badminton.
Yes.
Right? Okay, but the eyes bright, that point, deeply spiritual point when you think about it, right?
Yeah, because it's about having a heightened awareness of your surroundings. It's like a vigilance for all that's happening around you. It's as if the bladder types, they don't see the way the rest of us see. It's like everything is down to the bare bones. It's bright and dramatic. It's like they see even like the particles of light moving through time and space. Or it's like they hear everything distinctly. Like if you were listening to an orchestra, most people, they just hear generally the music, whereas they might be hearing each and every instrument independently. That's the level of micromanaging that the bladder's doing. That's a level of vigilance that those of us who are not waters, we have no idea how that works.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't understand that. It's not that they're afraid, and I'm going to do air quotes on the word afraid in general, but it's the anticipation of anything can happen, even dangerous things, although you may be like in an orchestra that the thing could fly, hit you in the eye, or they can symbol you or say, they need to be ready to adapt and adjust in the moment in case some orchestral accident happens. I don't know what that word is, right? But if like, with the symbols, they're ready.
Right. I always say, like, if they hear a fire engine, like, way off in the distance, like, most people ignore that. But they're like, where's that coming from? What does it mean? So it's often about safety, but not just safety, just an instinctive awareness of everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah, we keep saying that, but it's so true.
It's so true. And if you watch the different water types talk, you'll see the kidney powerhouse types. They might not have as much to say overall, or they might speak more slowly. But the bladder inventory controller types,
they might talk and talk and talk, and might be very fast and monotone, a lot of run-on sentences. They go on and on and on, and they just don't know what to do, and they just go and they go, and they look in your eyes, and you smile, and they, ooh, ha, ha, and they go, and then they just keep going.
Yeah. And all waters have both states. The kidneys have that kind of awkward, not talking much, anticipating when someone else might speak.
Yeah, and I get that. That's the kidneys.
Yes, versus the run-on sentence freight train story that goes on and on and on.
That's the runner. That's the bladder. Right?
Yes.
If you're water and you go on a runner a lot, think bladder. Right?
Yes. And if you're water and you're wondering which you are.
If you don't know by now, no, I'm teasing. You might not. You'd be like, oh, I'm both of them. I'm both of them.
Yes. Think about the fact that it's a continuum. On one side is all the waiting, all the watching, all the quietness, the slowness, the patience, the pool of water.
And on the other side is the rushing river of quickness, talkativeness, fast moving, fast thinking, not wanting to stop, going, the yang, being everywhere all at once, going.
All the time. Yeah. And all waters have to have both states. But which one are you naturally and more predominantly? Or maybe you're smack dab in the middle.
Who says
smack dab in the middle?
Did you just like smack dab?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Is that like a smack daddy rapper? I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
Smack dabber.
But maybe
you're in the middle.
Yeah.
How about we just say you're in the middle? Okay, so if you're still not sure, we're going to do some of the challenges. Let's do some challenges for each of the types so we can really let people figure out where their water's flowing.
Well, it can be hard for kidneys sometimes to hold on to their power. I mean, sometimes you have extenuating circumstances in life that really drain you, like we mentioned before. And for a kidney person, they couldn't begin to get really thin, almost emaciated looking.
Yeah, they can't hold on to their power. They've spent it all. They've given it all away. They've used it all up.
Yeah, or sometimes the opposite can happen. Like a bladder person, a water person might gain tons of weight all of a sudden, just balloon out, maybe after a traumatic event or something like that, where the bladder is unable to contain the water in the cells.
Yeah, both of these are really, really bad place for water elemental people because sometimes this happens during major transitions in life when you really don't want it to happen.
Yeah, water's really fine transitions overall, challenging in general. And a common scenario I see when water women are going through like perimenopause, they might get really skinny or gain a ton of weight. And it's just the body isn't ready for that transition. And they need some earth. The earth controls water. So they just need earth to come in and help them out, which is actually what we do when we treat them in Chinese medicine.
I get that. So in general, you can think of the kidney as the ocean and the bladder at the banks of the rushing river. How's that?
That's great.
Right? So the kidney is the ocean.
Yeah.
And the bladder, rushing river.
Yes. So you'll see in general, the kidney person is a bit quieter, maybe a little slower, and maybe, but not always, a bit more watery in the flesh, meaning they look a bit more full when you look at their skin. It's not necessarily that they're heavier, it's just they look fuller. It's how their skin looks with water underneath it almost. It's really hard for them to look really ripped.
Yeah, they really work hard and sometimes too hard to get that look that other people have. They don't understand.
That wood look.
Yeah.
That wood look that, wood has muscles on the outside. You see the muscles. Water people, they're more seeing the water under the flesh, and it's harder to see the muscles kind of protruding out.
I get that. I get that. And the bladder person is a bit more talkative, faster, maybe a bit thinner, lankier, less water in the flesh, and they may not like talking about how they're processing, but they're processing everything in their environment, but they may not want to talk about it.
Yes, because water people aren't as talkative necessarily as some of the other elements, but definitely bladder people talk more than kidneys. The kidney people they're just in it. They don't need to process it. So they're not looking around as much, and it's more like they're still on the outside. And they might have a lot of movement and things happening inside, but you might not see it.
Yeah, when you think about it, we all have something to learn from these powerhouses and these inventory controllers, which is that timing is everything. The timing is an art form, especially when it comes to bodily functions, right?
Yes.
It takes awareness and having our own eyes bright. See how through that?
Yeah.
We're watching, we're waiting, we're learning.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of water.
It's like we're sitting on the edge of the world waiting for a shooting star and being so aware that when it comes, we can be right there ready to reach out and grab it.
Wow. That was very dramatic, by the way. At just the right moment. And that's our lives full of all possibilities and the skill and the ability. We have to be good at that. We have to be able to grab that star. We have to be able to be patient in anticipation. We have to be good at all of that and be in full alignment with our destinies and not be afraid to walk our Tao.
Wow. Mic drop.
The wow Tao?
Yes.
I got the wow for the Tao.
The wow Tao.
Okay, so just to recap, master of the P, permission to take a power nap.
Yes.
And the ability of grasping a shooting star.
Yes.
Right?
That's it.
Right. So go out there and get that class for the shooting star, get that certificate.
And wallpaper your ambition room.
There you go. Woohoo! Yes. All right. Have a good one. I gotta go. I have to go to the bathroom.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! Why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there. We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at leta@inspiredactionpodcast.com or jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog. We need some water. I don't know.
It's like 90 degrees in here, Chiron.
Yeah, we have no AC.
Okay.
I think Zena passed out from lack of oxygen, but we're okay. We're going to keep going.